Oklahoma State. And moments ago, he met with his team in the locker room.
These guys are not going to give you anything. You're champions. You deserve to be right where you are right now. Now it's time to go prove to the country who you are and what you guys are about. You guys with it? Let's get out there, guys. Be the champions that you are.
All right, Texas San Antonio 19-13, 9-7 in the Southland Conference. A look at their starting lineup. Devin Gibson is a do-all point guard. Melvin Johnson can stroke it from the three. Wilkins is their hoss with Franklin. And watch this kid, Jeremy Hill, freshman from Australia. You're going to like him, Lenny.
Yeah, Larry Wilkins is going to have to really come up big on the boards. That's the fear Brooks Thompson has against Alabama State.
And for Alabama State, Middlebrooks is their point guard. Tremaine Butler, Derek Washington, Adamu, and Chris Duncan, who's a very good athlete. So Lewis Jackson, one of the all-time great players in the history of the SWAC Conference. He's in the SWAC Hall of Fame. He played at Alabama State, scored over 2,000 points, and he has come home to lead his alma mater. And the men in black, one of the great officials in all of college basketball at Hightower. Mike Cyphers as well, along with Frank Harvey. Tonight's game is brought to you in HDTV by LG. Life's good. Gus Johnson, Len Elmore, good to see you again, partners. That time of year.
We're back.
We're ready to roll. UTSA, Alabama State, and we're underway from Dayton. Lenny, what's the first thing we should pay attention to in this game?
Well, the first thing to pay attention to, Alabama State, pretty good defensive team. They're going to have to stick to the big three, make sure that their shots are challenged, and also that they prevent them from getting offensive rebounds.
Melvin Johnson, the third, with the jump shot, long rebound, picked up by the Road Runners. Now Hill can do a little bit of everything, put it on the floor, post, pick and roll, shoot the three as well. Johnson driving baseline, double clutch up and count. So just like that, Texas San Antonio gets on the board first.
Yeah, the Roadrunners are a dangerous team because they up-tempo it. They like to spread the floor and try to beat you off the bounce. And again, Alabama State a pretty good defensive team, but you can't give a team like Texas San Antonio extra possession. Because the flip side is Alabama State struggles to score, although of late they've been putting the ball in the basket with a little more regularity.
Melvin Johnson, the third, adds a free throw. And last year he was the Southland Conference Freshman of the Year. And here comes Alabama State, Jeffrey Middlebrooks, Jr. from Atlanta, looking inside. And this is Adamu with the drop step, and he banks it in, and that's their game. They're physical, and they'll attack the offensive glass as well.
And that's what Texas San Antonio is worried about. They're a smallish team, may not be able to compete with the physical nature that Alabama State brings, but right now they seem to be working efficiently, getting the ball inside.
Jeremy Hill with that jump hook. He's a legitimate 6'8" from Cairns, Australia. Southland Conference Freshman of the Year. Meanwhile, the jumper off the mark for Derek Washington.
When you take a look at San Antonio, will really back off of Alabama State. Alabama State, very poor three-point shooting team, 10th in the Southwest Athletic Conference, shooting just 28% from beyond the arc. So look for the defenses to sag anytime somebody lines up behind that line.
So Devin Gibson, the senior from Houston, 2009, 2010, Southland Student Athlete of the Year. So he's got an incredible mind for his academics as well as the game of basketball. However, the Road Runners turn it over. And so does Alabama State.
Take a look right here. That's just trying to do more than you're capable of at that time. You got to catch it first and then go.
Derek Washington, nicknamed KD, takes his eyes off the basketball. He's a 6'4" junior from Utica, Mississippi. Now Gibson finds Melvin Johnson, the third. He slashes to the basket, gets there, and draws contact.
Well, Melvin Johnson, we talked about his three-point accuracy, 38% from beyond the arc, average about 2.5 per game, and being played for that. And he's trying to turn the tables on the defense by ball faking and putting it on the floor and going.
And that foul called on Jeffrey Middlebrooks, their starting point guard. He picks up his second foul already. So at the free throw line, Melvin Johnson, and Middlebrooks will take a seat, replaced by Dwayne Harvey, redshirt freshman from Ontario, Canada. How nervous are you, Lenny, playing a game like this?
Just about everything up until the opening tip. You know, once that ball is tipped and possession's taken, you got to play. And we see Texas San Antonio, they'll employ a number of pressure schemes, and right there it's kind of token. And it's as if they weren't there because Alabama State came down and just knocked down the mid-range.
Sharif Adamu with the jump shot. 7-4. Texas San Antonio, who beat the top 3 seeds in the Southland Conference to win their tournament, making their 4th appearance in the NCAA tournament. And another turnover. However, Gibson gets it and lays it in with the left hand.
See, it's not a question of nervousness or anxiety per se. It's just a question of really being maybe a little too pumped when you're losing the ball the way both teams are. You know, not really getting possession.
Chris Duncan turns it over. Gibson the other way. Lets it fly, and some pretty good defense up top by Derek Washington. And looks like Texas San Antonio will hold on to the ball. How about Brooks Thompson? Averaged 17 points a game as a senior at Oklahoma State, 2nd team all Big 12.
Yeah, when you talk to Brooks, look at a little bit of John Cusack.
Yeah, he certainly does. John Cusack could play him. 1st round draft pick by the Orlando Magic. Bounced around the NBA. But has some very, very good friends in college basketball, including Kansas head coach Bill Self, who encouraged him to get into basketball as a coach. Rebound inside. Wilkins goes after it, and a whistle and foul.
I think that foul's on Jeremy Hill, attempting to go after that second chance opportunity. As we said, I was going to say, Gus, as we said, Alabama State can't afford to give up extra possessions to a team that wants to play up-tempo, put a lot of points on the board.
Alabama State winning the SWAC tournament championship with a 65-48 win over Grambling, and they are red hot, winners of 11 of their last 12 games. Pull-up jump shot deep, and that one off the front rim. Butler, they kick it out. Here comes Gibson, hard push, crosstown, kicks it out. Hill, pump fake to the bucket.
So that little bit of penetration cracks the defense and leaves the perimeter shooters open.
Johnson off the bounce. Short, snatched down nicely by Sharif Adamu. And here come the Hornets in transition to the bucket. No. Hill, long outlet. Johnson the third to the cup, double clutch, upended.
Well, we've been up and down a couple times now. No hesitation on pulling the trigger, but this tempo works to the advantage of Texas San Antonio.
Melvin Johnson with 7 points, and Texas San Antonio gets back into a zone.
Again, you knew that the zone was coming. I'm sure Alabama State knew the zone was coming, as every team that plays them has to test their perimeter capability.
Hill, as the Hornets continue to turn the ball over, that's their 3rd turnover. They average 11.5 per game.
And Texas San Antonio wanted to run that time, but Alabama State did a much better job of getting back, clogging the paint.
Pull-up jump shot, Franklin. And the rebound goes to Chris Duncan.
You know, we talked about the inability on an efficient basis of Alabama State to score, but the last 12 games where they've gone 11-1, they've averaged 70 points, shooting 45% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc. They've been a different team than they had been all season over the last 12.
Off the heel for Washington. Gibson slicing, kicking. Franklin, and a whistle and a reaching foul coming up against the Hornets.
And you wonder which team is going to show up for Alabama State, but we know that the Roadrunners want to get up and down, and get up and down they have.
Nationwide Insurance, talk to me.
Should I bundle all my policies with Nationwide Insurance?
Watch this. On one hand, you have your home insurance with one company, and on another hand, you have your auto with another. And on another hand, you have your life with another. But when you bundle them all together with Nationwide Insurance, they all work together perfectly, and you could save 25%.
Wow.
On the wrist. Nationwide is on your side.
So what makes these so special?
The new Whirlpool Duet has 6 Sense technology, so it senses and adapts to all your laundry needs.
How about husbands?
Direct inject wash system eliminates pre-treating.
Twins?
Precision dispense for optimal fabric care.
How about this?
Quiet Spin 360 technology means you always hear what's going on.
I'll take it.
Sears introduces the new Whirlpool Duet. It works smarter, just like you. Save instantly with free standard delivery and haul away. Sears.
So, your seat good? Get the mirrors all adjusted so you can see everything okay? Just stay off the freeways, all right? I don't want you going out on those yet. Just leave your phone in your purse. I don't want you texting.
Daddy, okay?
Okay. There you go. Be careful.
Thanks, Dad.
Call me, but not while you're driving. We knew this day was coming. That's why we bought a Subaru.
Until the world can live in peace. Until natural disasters no longer strike. Until that day, the men and women of America's Navy stand ready to answer the call.
So what kind of car should I get? New or used? Used.
Now at Autotrader.com, compare new and used cars and even special offers. So when you find the right car, there won't be any doubt in your mind. Autotrader.com, the ultimate automotive marketplace.
Thanks again for dog sitting. No worries. They're really smart. They'll do whatever you tell them. Oh, and there's a ton of Bud Light in the fridge. Here we go.
Hey, guys.
There's a whisker in my hamburger.
Guys, we need more mugs.
It's the sure sign of a good time. It's just right taste of Bud Light. Here we go.
Don't worry, guys. I got it.
Texas San Antonio with an 11-4 lead over Alabama State as the 2-16s battle as we take a look at the profile for the Road Runners located in the Alamo City of San Antonio, Texas. Close to 26,000 students. They had a 19-13 overall record, but Lynn, they got hot late. They've won 5 in a row, 7 of their last 9. And for Alabama State, out of the SWAC, started slowly, finished 17-17. As you take a look at their RPI and strength of schedule, not the best, but they won the 3 games that they needed to get into the NCAA.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, they are a different team than their record reflects over the last 12 games.
And a foul once again against Alabama State. Wayne Harvey picks it up, and that's his first.
What's significant about both of these teams in this NCAA tournament is neither has ever won a game in the history of their participation, so they'll definitely be a first here tonight.
14 fouls against the Hornets. Make that 5. Gibson driving.
Good ball moving, extra pass.
Ball tapped around, Hill. Left hand short, squirts out. And picked up by the Road Runners. They get a new shot clock. Inside, nice pivot. That's Larry Wilkins, the junior from San Antonio, Texas, and they call him their workhorse.
And that shows you the damage that will be caused if you allow Texas San Antonio to continue to hit the offensive glass. So I believe 6 offensive rebounds thus far, and so far 5 points in second chance opportunities.
Tremaine Moore has checked into the game for the Hornets, and he is certainly a difference maker. As you take a look at him, every tournament game is live online on your iPhone or iPad with NCAA March Madness on demand. For details, go to mmod.ncaa.com. Alabama State, 2 of 6 to start this game. They've been sloppy with the basketball. Ivory driving and turns it over.
Not a bad decision to attack the gaps on that zone, because you want to be the zone inside out, but you certainly want to be more efficient. An offensive foul called here. Nice job of getting back defensively and setting up, despite the fact that San Antonio wants to push it. Take a look right here. Excellent job stepping in. Wayne Harvey just picks it up. takes the blow.
Melvin Johnson picks up his first foul. 13-4. Texas San Antonio, the winner to go on to play Ohio State in Cleveland on Friday.
And again, you look at this zone, it's extended now, but just to the three-point line, and good job by Alabama State to try to attack it from inside. And also, if you're not shooting well, there are lanes to attack for offensive rebounders, but that was a good job by Texas San Antonio to corral that rebound.
Pay, number 4 with the ball right now, checks in. He's a junior from Houston. Johnson again, and this time he knocks it down.
So proficient at the mid-range game, an outstanding three-point shooter. But he doesn't mind stepping inside that line, unlike a lot of the prolific three-point shooters we've seen in college basketball.
Largest lead of the game now for Texas San Antonio. Ivory off the mark, and Sepe hauls it in.
That's too quick a shot against that zone.
So what does this Alabama State team need to do? They've been having problems offensively the entire season. How can they get something going against UTSA?
Well, first of all, again, they've been trying to attack inside out against the 2-3 zone. The sweet spots are free throw line, below the free throw line, and in the short corner. And once you can get it in there, now you got decisions to make by the ball handler. But there are opportunities for long-range shot if you move the ball. Certainly opportunities for offensive rebound, but you got to be aggressive when you attack that zone, and particularly when you offensive rebound.
And according to Brooks Thompson, the head coach of the Roadrunners, the key for his team is to rebound defensively and make sure that Alabama State is one and done. Gibson off the dribble.
Well, part of that certainly has worked for them, as Alabama State has gone down too often, one and done. And on the other end, Texas San Antonio getting offensive rebound.
11:54 to play in the first half. 10-0 run for the Roadrunners. 17-4.
Points, 45% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc. So those numbers, while for the most part demonstrate who they are, they've actually come alive over the last 12, but they look like they're going back to form in this particular game.
Lewis Jackson looking for some kind of spark. Off his bench. They bring Robert Sanders in, number 15 White. Inside here's Tremaine Moore. This is where he can really get the job done, and he does.
Well, Tremaine Moore coming off the bench has been pretty good for him as he stepped up his scoring. But going back to what you were saying about Lewis Jackson during the timeout, you know, our colleague Marty Snyder heard him admonishing his guys for not moving on offense, not attacking aggressively.
Long jump shot for Sepe is good. And UTSA takes a 20-6 lead.
You to play passive on offense, sometimes that has adverse impact on your defense. And still you see Alabama State just standing around the perimeter. There's a cut right there, but you got to move without it in order to make something happen with it.
Well, a jump shot goes down, and that's a good sign as Derek Washington drills it. He was on the SWAC all-tournament team, averaging 12 points and 7 rebounds in the conference tournament. Now Hill, 16-footer.
You cannot give Jeremy Hill that free throw line jump shot. That's like making a layup for him. Again, Alabama State's defense not seemingly up to the challenge of putting a hand in the Roadrunners' faces when they shoot the jumpers.
Sanders posting, kicking, again Washington, and it's pure.
Just a little bit of movement to pass the cutter, forces the defense to shift, forces the defender to back off. And if they're going to test Alabama State's ability to shoot from the perimeter, a couple of more of those jump shots will extend that defense and make it a little bit easier.
Devin Gibson starts it on the wing. They swing it. Wilkins, double team. Sepe has shown that he can hit that jump shot from long range. Now off the dribble, hops there and banks it down.
St. Francis also showed he's got a pretty good handle as he wended his way through the Alabama State defense.
His coach, Brooks Thompson, says that he's a great perimeter shooter, versatile, can run a little point guard for him as well, and is learning how to drive the ball to the basket. Knocked away. Picked up. Moore. Oh, and almost a tip dunk by Sanders. And a whistle. And looks like that's going to be called a technical foul.
Hanging on the rim.
Or hanging on the rim.
It's one thing to hang on the rim to avoid injury, and it's another to try to do chin-ups. That's a T.
To slow you DirecTV.
In theaters and IMAX March 25th.
Back in Dayton at the first four here on True TV. UTSA up 13 here early. The journey for Tremaine Moore to get to this point has been absolutely incredible. He is a very rare six-year senior in the NCAA, and it started back in 2005 when he was a freshman at Troy State. He redshirted there, and you see all the injuries there. He finally had his first full season in 2009, and he graduated that year as well. He's applied for a six-year this year, got it on December 29th, played on December 30th, and as Lynn mentioned earlier, the team is 14-2 with him in the lineup. I asked Coach Lewis Jackson, how important is it to have him? He said, bottom line, he doesn't play well, we don't win, Gus.
Very good point, Marty. And they have been playing well with him in the lineup. You see what they've done, and their record being 14-2. Meanwhile, after the technical foul, Melvin Johnson hits a couple of free throws. Lewis Jackson, such a decorated player while he was at Alabama State, ended up being drafted in the third round by the Golden State Warriors, played eventually overseas, Australia, Canada. Served also as an assistant at Alabama State before taking over the head coaching job in 2005. Ivory, along with Moore.
See right now Gibson out there contesting the ball at the point of attack. A little bit of a wrinkle there.
There's Moore backing his way down, baseline turnaround up. And the outlet pass goes to Gibson. Diagonal, Sepe. Crossover, Johnson to the basket, double clutch, reverse, good. Melvin Johnson having an awesome first half, 13 points. And Texas San Antonio takes a 28-11 lead, their largest of the game.
Yeah, Johnson turning the tables on the defense that's playing him to shoot the three, and he's just putting it on the floor, getting right past him.
And we got a foul inside as Duncan was clipped by Stephen Franklin.
Take a look right there. Defense is tight. Johnson showing some versatility, putting it on the floor with his left hand, driving hard.
What an athlete. And at the line, Chris Duncan, they're really impressed with his athleticism at Alabama State, senior from Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, he's the Defensive Player of the Year in Southwest Athletic Conference.
Now there's still time to enter the SI.com Bracket Challenge. Play against your friends today at SI.com. I think that's a Seth Davis special. He made his.
Yeah, talk about Chris Duncan and his athleticism. That's what allows him to be such a stopper.
8:09 to play in the first half.
Alabama State employing some full court pressure now. They're looking for turnovers, maybe some easy buckets, which haven't really been plentiful for them.
And Johnson again with the jump shot. He's got 16 in the first half. UTSA takes a 31-13 lead.
The young man's feeling it, and he's already given the Alabama State defense something to think about. If you're going to play me for the shot, I'm going to drive. Back off me for the drive, I'm going to knock it down.
Duncan can't make the catch. Bats it back in bounds. Picked up by Stephen Franklin. Johnson, heat check time. And that one will sail out of bounds.
Sometimes you go to the well and nothing comes up. He's had buckets for the most part. Melvin Johnson III getting it done.
Before you say
is sponsored by E-Trade, Buffalo Wild Wings, and by the Capital One Venture Card.
A lot of fired up road runners here in Dayton. That's because Texas San Antonio has a 31-13 lead, and Melvin Johnson III has been going for it.
Yeah, fourth in the Southland Conference in 3 points made, but he's been taking it to the rack for the most part here. Alabama State playing him for the jump shot, and he's been able to put it on the floor with both hands and finish strong. And Melvin Johnson III, 16 points in only 10 minutes of play. He is on fire.
His career high is 24 points. He has 16 here, most points he scored in a half this season. Let's see what kind of adjustment Alabama State can make. And now a foul. The Hornets look really shaky as Chris Duncan commits the foul.
Well, you take a look on the double team right there. Good steal attempt to try to get it back, and Duncan hits Gibson in the face. But you're seeing exactly what Brooks Thompson is seeing. A team that's kind of in disarray on the offensive end. So what do? You apply more pressure to increase that confusion.
Pick and roll, Zape. Franklin drives and foul. This is Moore called for the foul as he picks up his first.
Number 2, Tremaine Moore, his first.
And that will allow Texas San Antonio to shoot 1-1. Stephen Franklin from Aurora, Colorado, transferred from the College of Eastern Utah. Duncan with the rebound. Here come the Hornets.
And UT San Antonio persisting in that 2-3 zone. Playing the guy in the high screen a little bit tighter right now to try to dissuade that pass.
Ivory and Bank buries one rather on the baseline. 31-15. When they move the ball, they get a lot better looks.
They certainly do, and they get a lot of guys open as well. It's about moving the ball and moving without it to force that zone to shift, and then you take advantage of the opening.
That ball deflected, picked up. Tremaine Butler, here's a man they want to get going. He averages about 11 points per game, and he's scoreless so far. Redshirt junior from Detroit McKenzie High School. As Dwayne Harvey circles, Ivory, Duncan. Moore can't get it to stay down. Melvin Johnson III with momentum and one. He's doing just about anything he wants to do tonight. 18 points in the first half, and that'll make you smile.
Yeah, and here's a guy that recognized the opening right there, had his head down for a moment when he looked up, saw the lane to the basket. And this is a confidence play. This young man, as we said, primarily a three-point shooter, but he's demonstrating that he is a complete package on the offensive end.
And he adds a free throw. What a first half of basketball. 19 points for Melvin Johnson III. He's only a sophomore from Dallas. His coach, Brooks Thompson, I asked him, I said, how do you describe him? The first thing the old Oklahoma State Cowboy said, he's a trigger.
Does that mean they ride him to victory?
Well, no, that means he'll pull the trigger.
Okay.
Off the dribble. That one around the rim and out for Hill. Squirts out, gets it again. New shot clock for the road runner.
See, I was thinking Roy Rogers, man.
That was a horse, right?
Yeah, that was a horse.
Safe pick. Johnson fires deep. Loose ball, Hill, pump fake, can't lay it down.
Could have gone strong to the basket instead of relying on that English, but once again, San Antonio getting offensive rebounds at their will, and on the defensive end, still limiting, for the most part, Alabama State to one shot, just like Brooks Thompson game plan.
And a foul. This will go against Texas San Antonio. Looks like an illegal moving screen called against Seipei. So that's a fourth team foul against the Roadrunners. First against Seipei. Brooks Thompson, 5 years. It's hard to believe Linear used to cover his games when he was a Knick.
Yeah, well,
seems like just yesterday he was walking around with a bad back, and now he's been at Texas San Antonio for 5 seasons.
Well, he's got his guys drilled on this game plan here. You saw the graphic on rebounds. Roadrunners are having their way on the glass on both ends of the floor.
Hill with his 7th rebound of the first half.
And it's hard to believe that that was the concern that Brooks Thompson had, that the physical Alabama State guys might maul them on the glass, and they had to make a special effort. Well, the effort's paying off.
Texas San Antonio defeating McNeese State 75-72, which was an upset to win the Southland Conference tournament and the automatic bid. Hill with the jump hook.
Basketball, Jeremy Hill.
And Jeremy Hill gives the Roadrunners a 36-15 lead. He has 6 points and 7 rebounds.
Yeah, leading freshman scorer in the Southland Conference and freshman of the year. And he's one of the building blocks for this program.
Uh-oh, watch out! Bam! Melvin Johnson, the third, putting up 21 big ones in the first half. Coast to coast, San Antonio. Dayton, 38-15, Roadrunners. Great minds in basketball.
G.com/US.
Our second game tonight pits at-large 11 seeds in the Southwest region, VCU and USC. The winner faces 6th seed Georgetown Friday in the windy city of Chicago.
That second game will be another battle of wills, as Southern Cal, more of a setup, half-court offense execution team with size against a VCU team that loves to create havoc, as they say.
That is their moniker. Shaka Smart, one of the young and talented coaches in the country. And it will be very interesting to watch his team play. Kevin O'Neill's squad, who's also considered one of the great minds in basketball all overall. So a technical foul on Alabama State. 6 men on the floor. Now that's a way to get more points up.
It's kind of hard to believe. You just came out of a timeout. Everybody doesn't know who's in and who's not.
There's timeout on the floor.
While they sort it out, 3:43 to play first half, 38-15, Texas San Antonio.
You know, I'll have a light beer too.
Sure, regular.
Well, you take a look at Texas San Antonio dominating the paint, high percentage shots. And Melvin Johnson III really having his way. 21 of the Texas San Antonio points. And if that's not enough, giving it away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pour number 6 right there. And that's how you get a technical foul call. That's not easy to do, guys.
Not at all. So a frustrating first half for Lewis Jackson in the 6th season. Melvin Johnson continues to pour in the points. 22 now in the first half. He's 7 of 12 from the field, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Now make it 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Talk about a player, Len, that's in the zone.
And as we said, he's a guy that can light it up from beyond the arc, and most teams are going to try to put a guy who's going to be real sticky defensively and not allow him to get any daylight. But Johnson's shown us again that he's got more to his game than just shooting jumpers.
Ivory White, big hop to the basket, slashes, and gets it to fall.
And during that last time out, Coach told the Alabama State guys, you're not being aggressive, you're standing around, you're playing scared. Well, that may be the beginning of at least more assertive play by the Hornets.
Devin Gibson with the ball, pulls up, and White comes up with the board.
One of the few times that the Roadrunners have come down and not allowing a lot of guys to touch it. Gibson kind of hogged that ball, looking maybe to try to get in on some of this scoring binge.
Gibson averaging 18 points per game for Texas San Antonio. He has 4 points in the first half. Duncan calling for it inside. Deep jump shot off the mark for Middlebrooks, who picked up 2 early fouls. Save pays, got Hill, Melvin Johnson, Hill, left hand flush.
Thing I liked about that, Pay waited until the defender committed to him before he let that pass go. And Jeremy Hill runs the floor very nicely for a big.
8.7 rebounds. Remember, the winner of this game will take on the Ohio State Buckeyes, the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, on Friday in Cleveland. 2 minutes to play here in the first half, 42-17. Don't forget, coming up, AT&T at the half. We'll join Matt Weiner, Seth Davis, Steve Smith, and Indiana head coach Tom Crean live from Hot Atlanta. For first half analysis plus Naismith Watch presented by AT&T. That's all coming up on AT&T at the half. I can imagine, Lynn, what it's going to be like tomorrow. Having a chance to sit around and just watch all the games.
You don't think that's going to be a battle for the remote?
Oh, my goodness.
But you know what? That's the beauty. You know, having the opportunity to be able to tune your own games, be your own producer.
So if we were watching the game, who would have the clicker?
I would. I could hold you up, man, like I used to. Hold the ball above my head.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. 43-17. Inside, Duncan, nice catch. And it rims out, but a foul. With 1:47 to go. How do you approach the game at this point if you're Alabama State heading into the half, trailing by such a large margin?
Well, you see, these opportunities, you can get them, but it means nothing if you can't stop Texas San Antonio on the other side. You've got to work on shoring up the defense, stepping up the intensity on defense, making some consecutive stops, and then come back here and attack on the offensive end.
White tried to dump it down, deflected, and picked up by the Roadrunners, and the foul. Khalif Bakare fouled, the sophomore from Houston. Brooks Thompson has to feel good. His team is rolling. Crowning
sense of investing.
Kings of Leon bringing us back, and right now, Texas San Antonio crowning this Alabama State squad 43-17 with the rock right now. Coming up the floor, Khalif Bakari. Transfer from Tarleton State. He's a backup point guard. Melvin Johnson III really hungry for the basketball. 23 points in the first half.
See, with a minute 15, Alabama could get a little more pep in their step going into the locker room if they can make some stops.
Bakari. That one partially deflected and will head the other way.
You know, 26-point deficit seems to be a lot, but you can't think of it that way. You got to start winning segments. And this last minute and 7 seconds, Alabama State needs to win this so they can go in the locker room and speak positively. Then you come out in the second half and you start breaking this thing down in 4-minute segments and see what you can do.
On the baseline, no, but Ivory White is there on the, can Derek Washington miss? White with the solid first half, 6 points.
Gotta make a stop here, get the last shot. And score then, and maybe they can walk in the locker room feel a little bit better about themselves. Come back in the second half and start winning in digestible bites.
Fade away. Oh! Melvin Johnson the third.
That'll hurt
with a step-back jump shot. And he has 25 in the first half.
All right, if you're Alabama State, all you can do is salvage this last possession. That's nice.
Duncan kept it up high. 8 seconds to go. Clock still running. Bakari lost his footing. And that one goes down as well.
Are you
kidding? The junior from Athens, Greece, his first touch. And it's a basket. And what a first half performance by the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners.
Well, they ran it down to the nub right here. Looked like a good defensive play, challenged the shot. But this is the kind of stuff, you know, you're already getting buried. And this is the kind of stuff that really makes you hunch your shoulders over and take that slow walk back to the locker room. And that's what Alabama State did, man. When we watched them walking off, their body language wasn't very good.
48-21. The halftime score. Let's go, Marty Snyder.
Well, Brooksy, could you imagine a better first half than that?
Well, things went our way. There's no doubt about it. I thought defensively is what keyed us. We got in our zone. We knew that they were a very good offensive rebounding basketball team. And I think our guys, until towards the end, weren't letting them get their hands on the basketball, and we were really rebounded. They were getting one shot. And then obviously our shots going in, and hopefully we can continue it for 20 more minutes.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Marty.
Brooks.
All right, thank you very much, Marty. That's the end of the first half of the score. Texas San Antonio 48, Alabama State 21. We'll send you to our Atlanta studios and AT&T at the half after these messages.
I was driving to
AT&T at the half is...
Welcome to the darker side of green.
AT&T at the half is sponsored by AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network.
AT&T at the half, and we have got a blowout underway in Dayton. Melvin Johnson III hit everything he took, it seemed, whether they guarded him or not. He's got a career-high 25 points at the half. The Roadrunners lead it by 27, 48-21, and it wasn't just Johnson. Everything going right for UTSA just before halftime. Tyler Wood's only shot of the half, and it falls as the buzzer goes off. Texas San Antonio cruising into intermission so far. Welcome back into our Atlanta studio, everybody. I'm Matt Weiner along with Seth Davis from Sports Illustrated, Steve Smith and Tom Crean, the head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. And Coach, I'll go to you first. If you're the coach at Alabama State right now, you look at your Hornets and say, we're down 27. Now what?
Well, first off, you've got to get the confidence back of the best players. I mean, the two Tremaines here now, they have 2 points between them. And you can't go in there and talk about offense because they're not shooting the ball very well. You can't talk about, we're going to get it back with 3-pointers. You got to make sure they're confident enough to come out and get back in transition. I think the whole key so far has been very poor transition defense by Alabama State, which has just allowed all this energy and all this spacing and movement to be really, really good for San Antonio. And then all of a sudden, somebody's got his career high in 1 half.
That's what's ahead for Lewis Jackson at halftime for Alabama State. And for Texas San Antonio, Melvin Johnson III is out of his mind.
I love players who give themselves a chance, Matt, and he did. Melvin Johnson III has 25. Unfortunately, Alabama State has 21. And that's the story so far in the first half. I take my hat off to him. He came out with confidence. He knocked down shots. And Seth, they said, the scouting report, he was just a 3-point shooter. He's only 1 for 5. He is showing now that he can do more than just score the basketball beyond the arc. He's going to the cup. He's knocking down free throws, getting his own shots off the dribble. I'm loving Melvin Johnson III.
I'm thinking he ought to change his name to Jimmer. Except he's not shooting 3-pointers. That's amazing, the fact that he's got 25 points. And, you know, Lewis Jackson, the Alabama State coach, when he sends out 6 guys and gets a technical foul, they showed that shot of him on the bench. Reminded me of that Snickers commercial where the guy says, you want to get away? I got a feeling that he just wants to get away and get this game over with.
And he's just the Roadrunners' second leading scorer on the season, back in the starting lineup in mid-January when he decided to put a little more effort forth on the defensive side of things. We talked about in the pregame, he said, I don't like defense.
He doesn't like defense. That's okay with me.
You have 25 points. You don't need to play any defense.
Like that.
He obviously likes it a little bit tonight. They've only given up 21 points. And like I said, I mean, they're holding Alabama State to 30% and 10% from 3. And then offensively, to have 48 points and only to have made 3 3-point shots.
And 8 offensive rebounds. So whatever you're missing, you're cleaning
15
up.
to 23 from 2 in the first half. I mean, pretty impressive.
Not even Gus can save this game.
Not at all. Not at all.
He'll try.
But there's one more to go.
He'll give you an honest effort in the second 20
That's
minutes.
my guy, Gus Johnson.
Coming up. Game 2 tonight, USC and Virginia Commonwealth, one of 3 Colonial Athletic Association teams to make the field of 68. Let's start with USC. They come in 19.
This is not going to be the first time a team.
George Mason in the tournament went on to make the field of 68 at 23 and
telecast or any picture
DonorsChoose.org are working together to put academic and athletic supplies back into our schools. And you can join the NCAA in supporting the needs of teachers' projects. From athletics to academics, find out how you can help future student athletes at ncaa.org/fundthefuture.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NCAA for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any picture, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NCAA's consent is prohibited.
it is Melvin Johnson III's world right now in Dayton and across America. He's got the tournament all to himself tonight. 25 and counting. Second half coming up.
AT&T at the Half is sponsored by AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network.
There's no force like the one that comes from
car insurance.
Coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is sponsored by State Farm, U.S. Postal Service, Chevrolet Volt, and by HP.
Welcome back to Dayton, Ohio, where Texas San Antonio leads Alabama State 48-21 at halftime. And moments ago, Marty Snyder met with Alabama State head coach Lewis Jackson.
Well, Coach, how do you go about trying to get back into this ball game?
Well, for one thing, we got to do a good job on 31. He's hurt us by himself. He got 25 at halftime, and we got to do a good job on him this second half so we can try to make a game out of it.
What is that one thing you have to do to slow him down?
Well, we got to come off the screens a little tighter on him so he don't get us on the up fake. He's swinging it through, just getting up, shooting the ball. So we got to try to keep him from getting touches.
Thanks. All right. Gus?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, Lenny, Melvin Johnson III. Very, very, very good first half.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can use so many superlatives on how Texas San Antonio has approached this game, but it really all boils down to one thing, and that's Melvin Johnson, 25 points in the first half. And he's a guy that usually shoots a three, and he can do that as we've seen, but he's demonstrated a variety of ways that he can get to the hole. Very athletic, and he found himself open, and he's taken full advantage. You take a look at this shot chart right here. He's missed a bunch of threes, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc, but take a look at what he's got around the basket. Alabama State has to do a much better job of defending that paint.
And Melvin Johnson III. I'll tell you what, he's been averaging 17 points per game after cracking the starting lineup 19 games ago.
Overall, Texas San Antonio, 53% from the field. And the one concern that Brooks Thompson had was his guys might get muscled. They're +7 on the glass, including 8 offensive rebounds. And that's led to 11 fast break points as Texas San Antonio likes to push it up the floor as road runners do.
So we start the second half. Texas San Antonio with the basketball. Devin Gibson, Jeremy Hill, Melvin Johnson III, along with Larry Wilkins and Stephen Franklin on the floor for the road runners. What a first half it was. 18 of 34 shooting, 53% inside. That one rimming off. And the road runners will go to the free throw line.
Nice job getting into the high-low. And Jeremy Hill gets excellent position. Ball goes to the top. Look at him step right there and locks the defender on his hip. Probably should have finished a lot better, but nevertheless, good execution.
So Jeremy Hill, a 63% free throw shooter. He leads the Southland Conference freshman in scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, three-point field goal percentage. According to his coach, he is a do-it-all player.
That's why he was freshman of the year in that conference. Nobody better in their first year.
10 points in the game. Baseline jumper, and that goes down for Tremaine Butler.
That was a textbook attack of the 2-3 zone, something Alabama State probably could have gone to earlier in this game. Hitting that sweet spot below the free throw line and looking for the open shooter.
Meanwhile, Franklin answers. His first basket of the game, 51-23. He had a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds against McNeese State. He's named the conference player of the week, and Adamo, who picked up 2 early fouls, comes into the second half and hits his first shot.
Once again, a sweet spot of that 2-3. The problem for Alabama State is they're finding the key to scoring. They can't stop anyone, though. And that's going to be what's most important as they try to get back into this ballgame.
Franklin curling down the lane, loose ball, and picked up by Derek Washington.
Remember, at the close of the half, I talked about Alabama State trying to get in this ballgame in digestible bites. They win this 4 minutes, then they have to look to the next 4 minutes.
Jeffrey Middlebrooks with his first basket. So a lot better rhythm for Alabama State to start the second half.
On the offensive end.
Exactly.
You know, they've got to string together multiple stops here and cut into this lead.
Gibson dumps it down. Wilkins slicing through, knocked out of bounds. And we'll stay right here. Alabama State for the second time in the past 3 years, advancing to the NCAA tournament, 4th overall bid. Melvin Johnson III rises. And the rebound goes to Adamo. Once again, this one is pure Jeffrey Middlebrooks, the starting point guard who picked up 2 early fouls, had to go to the bench for the most of the first half, and now a timeout called by Brooks Thompson. He doesn't like the way this is starting out. The lead is down to 20, 51-31. Alabama State looking more confident to start the second half. TNT at 2:10 p.m. All right, the 16-game 4 network second round gets underway tomorrow with Clemson versus West Virginia on CBS at 12:15 Eastern, followed by ODU versus Butler on True TV at 12:40. Morehead State versus Louisville is on TBS at 1:40 p.m. and Penn State versus Temple on TNT at 2:10 p.m. You decide the games to watch. It all starts with the Infinity NCAA tip-off on True TV at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Here comes Gibson, racing in the front court, spins to the basket. Nicely done.
Well, that's a way to get your team back in stride. Again, Brooks Thompson not very happy when he called the timeout. And his team came out and responded to his admonishment.
Baseline, that one short, batted around. Washington can't get it to fall, picked up by Larry Wilkins.
When you talk about responding, again, Alabama State stepping up the intensity on the defensive end. That's about, the most pep I've seen in their step throughout this game.
Gibson, hard handle, and a 5-second violation. Great defense by Jeffrey Middlebrooks. And talk about intensity. Look at Brooks Thompson.
Yeah, I don't think it was happening. And how many times have you seen a coach respond like that when you got a 20-point lead? But you leave nothing to chance in this situation. He wants to survive and advance, and you're not going to allow your team to fall into the goal.
That's a brick by Tremaine Butler. And here come the Roadrunners. Gibson driving to the basket and draws contact.
And I think what Brooks Thompson was telling his guys, you backed off. You allowed them to get some confidence. We got to go back and attack them. And we've seen Gibson do that a couple of times here off the dribble.
Brooks, charismatic player, a lot of style and swagger, charismatic coach, and he believes in his point guard. He said all Devin Gibson has to do is be Devin Gibson. A very interesting stat. Devin Gibson is currently the only player in the country to average 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2.5 steals per ball game. Coach Thompson saying the most important thing for Devin is to trust in his teammates as he misses a pair.
Well, he's a distributor on that team as well as an offensive threat. That makes him doubly dangerous. But, he's going to pick his spots in scoring and find people. And that's where the trust comes in. He doesn't have to do it by himself. I guess Melvin Johnson has shown him he doesn't have to do it by himself.
And Middlebrooks whipping that one out of bounds. He thought he had Derek Washington on the wing. That's the 8th turnover of the game.
And they can't get
Alabama State.
They can't get despondent over that turnover. They'll get right back to what they were doing to start this half.
Gibson with the miss. Chris Duncan, nice defensive rebound, his 5th. Middlebrooks, hesitation, and a reaching foul. And this will go against Gibson. First team foul, first foul on Gibson.
One of the reasons the Alabama State offense seems to be in better cue and better sync is because Middlebrooks back on the floor. Only played 10 minutes of the first half due to foul trouble. And now back on the floor right now, I think they feel a little more balanced with him out there handling the ball.
In the lane, ball knocked away and stolen. Great job of anticipation by Jeremy Hill. Sepe has come in for UTSA. Hill working. Now they'll reload. Gibson turning the corner hard, kicking it out. Sepe, pump fake, right. Loose ball, snatched down nicely. come the Hornets in the front court. Defense a little bit better to start the second half. Duncan, jump hook, way short.
Yeah, you can't shoot a fadeaway jump hook against that zone, particularly when you have a single coverage there. You got to take it to the basket stronger than that.
Alabama State shooting 36% from the field. And a foul. Looks like that'll go up top against the Hornets. 14:51 to play. Second half, 53-31 back after this.
After their playing day.
No blackout dates and no red tape.
53-31, Texas San Antonio 216s battling. And the winner of this game will advance to Cleveland, Ohio to take on the #1 overall seed in the tournament, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And let's take a look at the #1s, Lenny.
Well, I'll tell you what, all of them have something that can carry them to the Final Four. I'm not sure all #1s are going to make it. You look at the Duke Blue Devils, there's a lot of talk about Kyrie Irving possibly coming back. But really when it comes down to, in my mind, Ohio State's the team to beat because they have every tool necessary to make a long run. Dominance inside, role players who played at a hilt, inside-out combination. Just if they handle the anxiety and have poise of being the overall #1, they'll get there.
Gibson, quick release, and Duncan with another rebound. So who's your Final Four?
My Final Four, Ohio State, Kansas, Pitt, and San Diego State.
Ooh, okay. And who wins it?
We'll see what happens. I just said Ohio State, I think, has all the tools. Whether they can handle that anxiety and the pressure of being the overall favorite remains to be seen. But I have them down.
53-31, Hill.
I'm not going to ask you. You're going to tell me the truth?
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. You know, I waffle back and forth with Ohio State. I think they're going to get there, but when it's all said and done, I feel that in order to be the champ, you got to beat the champs. As you take a look at Ohio State, I got to go. I think I've changed my mind in the last week. I think I'm going to go with Duke.
You take a look at what Ohio State brings to the table in their profile, but I'll tell you what, I love Duke because of the adjustment that they made when Irving went down. Nolan Smith, and I've seen him so often, the most outstanding season that I've seen a young man have in a long time, where he had to switch roles and still was pretty dominant.
How dangerous is it for Duke if he comes back?
Well, I think it's going to be a question of whether or not he upsets the rhythm. He can't be in game shape, and he might get a few minutes here, a few minutes there in the first couple of rounds, but he still has to be able to play. You can't simulate game speed and game feelings, particularly in the NCAA tournament in practice. You've got to be able to play and play significant minutes to feel comfortable.
Mike Krzyzewski saying that he had to change his entire team once he went out of the game, and coming back, that should make it very, very interesting.
Yeah, and when you talk about the reason I have San Diego State there, because in Duke's losses, San Diego State has that profile of athletes who will pressure you, who can play the mid-range game, don't rely on the three, and can get out and guard you beyond the arc, where without Kyrie Irving, Duke had to rely.
Alabama State guarding a lot better. Not a very good shot. The shot clock violation for Devin Gibson. 55-31. Our score, and get all the March Madness highlights, box scores, and the TV schedule for TBS, CBS, TNT, and True TV at NCAA.com. 13:20 to play, second half. White driving the runner, bounces around, plucked down by Franklin. Franklin doing a nice job rebounding tonight, his fifth. And on the season, he averages 4.
And that was one of Brooks Thompson's concerns, whether his team could compete on the boards with Alabama State. They're doing more than an adequate job.
Larry Wilkins has to backtrack to pick it up. 14 on the shot clock as Khalif Bakari slides over to the wing. Runs a high pick and roll. Franklin curls, deals. Oh, beautiful pump fake by Wilkins, but too strong on the lay-in. Wilkins, according to Coach Thompson, undersized forward. That is one of the hardest workers that he's seen since he started coaching basketball. And the Hornets throw it away once again. And that is turnover number 11, right at their season average.
And it's so hard to come back when you're giving possessions away. You know, you look at Alabama State, they've done a decent job in the first 8 minutes of this half. As we said, 4-minute bites, digestible bites. They've got to be able to win each of those. But they haven't won by much. You know, it's still a 24-point lead for Texas San Antonio. They went to the half with 27, so Alabama State winning by 3. But they've got to cut into this in a more significant way if they want to have a chance down the stretch to be within reach.
Both these teams coming in hot. Alabama State, winners of 11 of their last 12. Texas San Antonio winning 5 in a row, 7 of their last 9. That's an interesting thing. I mean, Texas San Antonio in the Southland Conference tournament was the 7th seed. They go on to win the tournament. Brooks Thompson able to push the right buttons at the right time to get them on a run. That's what this NCAA tournament is about.
Yeah, I mean, he's got diverse ways to score. And defensively, they've done a pretty good job. We've seen them here. You know, they'll cover shooters. They'll pressure you. Force the turnovers. As you mentioned, 11 turnovers by Alabama State. That's his season average. With still, you know, a bit more time, 12 minutes and 10 seconds to go.
So Melvin Johnson III with 25 big ones in the first half. Moore adds a second free throw. 55-33. Moore with 4.
Ooh. Close to the backcourt. You got to have everything, the ball and 2 feet over in the front in order to be considered established in the front court. And it didn't happen, but it was close.
Johnson handling, stepping back, and ripped down by Scoot Moore, his 3rd rebound.
You know, when you play clean defense like that, shots missed, no extra opportunity, and you push the ball up the floor. This is psychological. This is where Alabama State, they need a bucket right here again to continue to feel good.
Little Brooks trying to give it to him. Oh, it's tapped up and in. Looks like Tremaine Moore got a hand on it. He has 6. Now the Hornets trying to create more of a frenetic pace. Gibson inside and blocked out of bounds.
Well, you're right. They got to get a scramble going right now. When you're down like this, you want to knock the other guy out of their rhythm.
11:17 to play, second half. 55-35.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Weiner in Atlanta. This tournament update is brought to you by Southwest. Coming up next, Game 2 of our first 4 doubleheader featuring USC and Virginia Commonwealth. The winner advances to play Georgetown.
And welcome back. Our score here, Texas San Antonio out of the Southland Conference with a 55-35 win over Alabama State out of the SWAC. That's Johnson, Lenny Elmore, and Lenny. The next game, USC, VCU, a clash of styles.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, USC, as Kevin O'Neal told us yesterday, they're a more half-court execution style team with big fellas on the boards, and Nick Vucevic as well as Alex Stevenson. Vucevic is one of those guys averaging 17 and 10. If he were on the East Coast, I think he'd blow up. But the fact that he's on the West Coast right now and just doesn't get the feature that he needs. And VCU with Jamie Skeen, they want to push it up and down. They'll show you a variety of pressure schemes to try to quicken the pace. So it's going to be who can impose their will in the second game.
Right now, UTSA imposing their will. They've led by as many as 28 points. Inside, Ivory White with an offensive rebound. And they'll get a new shot clock. That's his 6th rebound. To get it inside 20, as White fumbles it out of bounds, would be a confidence builder for this Alabama State team.
Yeah, it would be monumental, but you're not going to do it that way. I mean, that's an unforced error right there. Everybody's focus has to be on execution for Alabama State.
12 turnovers for the Hornets.
You lose that intensity and you wind up giving away possessions. We said at the beginning of the game that they couldn't afford to do that against a team that likes to push the ball up the floor, that can score with great efficiency. Unfortunately, that's what they've done, and that's why they're in the hole.
Melvin Johnson III, who had 25 in the first half. He has not scored in the second half. Hill, mid-range. Got it.
When you got a big fella, not only can work his way through the paint, but can step out and shoot that 10-12 footer. I mean, that's a huge advantage.
14 points for Jeremy Hill, the freshman from Australia. Adamo across the lane, and nice soft touch.
As we said, Alabama State now starting to get their offense clicking a little bit against the 2-3, but they're still having trouble stopping.
Wilkins stripped, batted around. Middlebrooks. And Ivory White driving, baseline, more. Good defense by UTSA as they switch. Middlebrooks halfway down, pops out. 9 rebounds for Jeremy Hill. He averages 7. Texas San Antonio shooting 45% from the field, 21 of 47. Hill again. Wilkins is fouled after grabbing the offensive rebound. Dayton, Ohio, our site for the first 4 as we take a look at the tournament summary.
Yeah, look at the mid-major at-large teams that remain. You know, none of them have played yet. But I'll tell you what, that's what this tournament has been about. You know, we began this tournament with 26 non-power conference teams out there, and we talked about Kyrie Irving could return on Friday. I'd like to see that. I'm not so sure that Mike Krzyzewski's is going to rush his guy back. But that's what the tournament, the expansion of the tournament appears to have been more inclusive of the mid-major teams. No one's really spoken of that. But in a balance of closely contested for the berth, you know, it seems like the benefit of the doubt went to the mid-major.
Wilkins, beautiful left hand as he rolled down.
And I'm good with that because of the diversity of this tournament. It creates more excitement and it gets more people involved.
59-37, Texas San Antonio baseline, and a foul coming up as Devin Gibson hammering Tremaine Butler. And that will send Tremaine Butler to the free throw line. Butler averaging 11 points per game. And on the season, he's been playing with a shin injury. He's got a metal rod in his shin. Ouch. Out of the tough public school league in Detroit, McKenzie High School. Now Gibson double teamed in the backcourt, takes it himself. They squeeze him on the sideline. And a timeout called
UTSA.
by San Antonio. 8:30 to play, second half, 59-38. Back after this.
That's why we bought a Subaru.
Now, if you would like to make a donation to help in the ongoing relief effort for the disaster in Japan, log on to cnn.com/impact. Gus Johnson, Lynn Elmore with you from Dayton, Ohio, site of the first 4. The University of Texas, San Antonio, the Road Runners out of the Southland Conference who won their conference tournament to advance to the NCAAs.
And they've ridden a big first half by Melvin Johnson III, 25 points, to this lead of 21 points. Alabama State seems to be far more competitive as they employ their 2-3 zone. Far more competitive in this half, but they can't seem to break the 20-point deficit mark and get under that.
Hill again. And the rebound goes to Chris Duncan, his 7th. Middlebrooks has played with great energy here in the second half. Baseline, Ivory White.
There they go. They got it under 20, but in this next 7:45, we talk about winning the 4-minute fights. They have to come with some energy, some enthusiasm, and just a little bit of luck. Turn Texas San Antonio over, get extra possessions, and get got a score.
Gibson thought about the jump shot. Johnson III does it. And another jumper going down for Melvin Johnson III, who has 28 points.
Yeah, and he's been a one-man wrecking crew where every time Alabama State seems to have gotten their rhythm and feeling good about themselves, he has a way of hurting their feelings.
And tonight, Tremaine Butler just having a hard time getting it to go down. Butler, 1 of 5 from the field, 3 points. Hill, loose ball, picked up by Tremaine Butler. And a whistle and timeout. Lewis Jackson wants to talk things over with the score 62-41. But the star of the night, Melvin Johnson III.
Yeah, now he's reverting back to what he does best. Knock down threes. You can't stop him anywhere.
Hello.
Also type performance.
You see, when your man smells like the fresh scents of Old Spice, you can go anywhere. Unless, of course, you prefer to stay in.
62-41, Texas San Antonio. Once again, Melvin Johnson III is just putting on a virtuoso type performance. 28 points in this ball game. He had 25 at the break.
Yeah, and again, he's kind of been a little more judicious with his shots, distributing the ball, playing decoy as the Alabama State defense starts to scramble. You know they were paying attention to him. And his ability to play that decoy and find others has gotten other guys involved in the offense.
It'll be interesting to see if Texas San Antonio were to be able to hold on and win this game. What would Brooks Thompson have up his sleeve as Middlebrooks hits a 3. Especially with the versatile big man like Jeremy Hill that may be able to pull Jared Sullinger away from the basket.
And we've talked about the luxury of having a guy like Hill who's efficient. The only problem is this. You'll have to guard Sullinger on the other end.
That's right. 6:17 to play. Second half, 62-44, Roadrunners. Welcome back, and Lenny, who do you want to watch in this tournament?
Well, all 3 of these guys, obviously Jimmer Fredette. Take a look at Kemba Walker, who literally carried his team to the Big East Championship. And as I mentioned, Nolan Smith, outstanding year in the ACC, the leader of the Duke Blue Devils. You know, my belief is obviously in the first and second round, any one of those explosive guys can carry their team. And certainly, those 3 guys are more than capable, as they've been some of the most efficient offensive players in the country.
Jimmer Fredette leading the nation in scoring, 28.5 a game. Had 50 points in 52 to be exact in a college game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all 3 of those guys, you know they're going to score. Your game plan for them, and they still get it done.
Last week against New Mexico. Close to, as Spike Lee would say, a double nickel. And wow, Middlebrooks really shooting the ball well.
And again, on that trip, just like Alabama State has done throughout this half, they've attacked the 2-3 well. It's just too little, too late, possibly.
4 threes for Jeffrey Middlebrooks. He was scoreless at halftime, has 12 points now. As Ivory White called for the foul.
Remember we talked about the digestible bites. Right now, Alabama State's beaten Texas San Antonio in the second half, 26-14. Obviously, they have a ways to go. But they've come back. They've demonstrated some pride, demonstrated some intensity after being shell-shocked in the first half. But is it enough? We shall see.
Talk about players to watch. A career high tonight for Melvin Johnson III, 29, averaging 15 a game. And he misses the second, 63-47. But Melvin Johnson III on the verge of eclipsing a mark that was set a long time ago.
What Alabama State is doing, but they probably need to do it better, getting their offense much quicker. Start to take a look at either easy chances or start to look at threes. That's the only way to come back from 16 points down with about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, 112 games since a Texas San Antonio Roadrunner scored 30 points in a game. Melvin Johnson III is 1 point away from it. And they're looking for him. They run him around a lot of screens. Hill on the baseline, skip pass. There he is. Lets it go. And a little short. 4:48 to play, 63-47. Duncan has been very solid for Alabama State on the defensive glass. 9 rebounds. And he gets up a little gimpy.
Well, again, we talked about Alabama State coming in this game. A different team than their numbers would reflect. 11-1 over the last 12. They were holding opponents to 58 points, 36% field goal shooting, and 31 from beyond the arc. Well, obviously, San Antonio has blown that up. But it doesn't mean that in a particular gap of time that Alabama State can't come back to that type of defense. It's just a matter of time. And the time may run out on him.
Now Tremaine Moore will go to the line and shoot free throws. Johnson called for the foul. That's his second. 16 fouls against Texas San Antonio. So Lewis Jackson's team continuing to fight and claw. Tremaine Moore getting the first. SWAC tournament MVP, averaged 14 points and 7 rebounds, gets a pair. And tonight he has 8. 8-point pressure by the Hornets and a steal. Inside, Washington. No, tapped up and in. Moore. 63-51 and an edgy player on the baseline. Ivory White. It looks like he may have been hit in the midsection. Take another look.
On the double team, did a nice job. It looks like, yeah, he got kicked right. Looks like the groin area. But even while he was in pain, he rolled over to watch the end of the play.
And he's getting up slowly. He's got his lucky Air Jordans on. Been wearing them all season when they started the run. Won't take them off as you take another look. And they will walk him off the floor. But more importantly, 63-51, all of a sudden, Alabama State has found a rhythm.
Yeah, and you know what? It's hard. I guess San Antonio Antonio was on cruise control for a while. Things came very easy, and even ratcheting up the intensity one more notch is what Alabama State's doing, and they caught the Roadrunners off guard, and I guarantee you that's what Brooks Thompson was talking to his guys about. He's going to tell them, you got to generate your own enthusiasm now and finish. Got it to 12. You know, if Alabama State in the next minute and a half gets it under double digits, we may have a little bit more excitement than we anticipated when they were down 25.
Largest lead in this game, 28 points.
Or 28.
Exactly, for Texas San Antonio. 27 at the break. And right now, Ed Hightower, so many years, he's like the dean of officials, especially in this part of the world, in the Midwest, Big Ten.
Wonder what they're looking at right now. Oh, that was foot.
And the officials are checking to see if White was hit with an inadvertent fist, but or looks like just a foot.
And instead it was an inadvertent foot. You know, if that had been a fist, well, that was an easy one because the pass was made with two hands. So unless he's growing a third hand, then we know that was inadvertent, and certainly it was a foot, as we saw there. But, you know, it's good for the officials to check, make sure they get it right.
For Alabama State.
So both teams come back on the floor. 63-51, back to live action. Gibson. Now the Hornets playing zone.
Yeah, they're trying to change the defenses up, as we said. You know, you kind of got Texas San Antonio on their heels right now. Change the defenses and further the confusion, if you can.
Melvin Johnson III on the bench. Gibson, Sepe, Hill, diagonal pass. Franklin, 6 to shoot. Working his way inside, knocked away and stolen. Great job by Tremaine Butler. Basket here could be big for the Hornets. Butler driving. And a whistle and a foul coming up. And it will go against Sepe. Will it? No, Alabama State. Welcome back. Alabama State trying to fight back as we look at the game summary.
Well, again, Alabama State has closed the gap in rebounds, certainly, and in points in the paint, because they've been atrocious. Still in all, though, you know, they're getting opportunities, and they've got to be able to capitalize on every single one of them now as they continue to try to shake the ball loose. The San Antonio Roadrunners.
Alabama State fighting back from a 22-point deficit at the 8:57 mark and a 14-4 run until now, as Sepe hits the first free throw. He was fouled by Kendrick Washington underneath the basket. Second free throw around and out. Duncan pulls in his 10th rebound. Middlebrooks has been an energizer for this Alabama State team in the second half. He's come up with some timely buckets and some timely steals. Fires. Long rebound in the corner, picked up by Kendrick Washington. New shot clock for Alabama State. Middlebrooks, the kick, Duncan, they'll shoot it. That's not the shot you want him shooting. He's 2 for 12 on the season from the three-point line. And the ball turned over by UTSA.
Yeah, good tie-up. Possession now pointing to Alabama. Take a look after the shot. Looks like San Antonio has the rebound, but an excellent tie-up there. You're talking about some pretty good hustle by Butler.
Inside Washington, nice catch, and he's fouled. 3:08 to go. 64-51. Washington a 65% free throw shooter. No quit in this pesky group of Hornets.
And no margin of error either. You got to be able to make these shots and keep going.
Melvin Johnson III, who has been incredible, 29 points tonight on the bench for an extended period. Defense, according to Coach Thompson, is what Melvin Johnson III not only needs to work on, but needs to commit to.
Well, I tell you what, when you have a game in first half like he's had that propelled your team to a tremendous lead, you know, you can forgive some of the defensive lapses. But right here down the stretch, you're right, got to commit to defense. It's not scoring that Texas San Antonio needs. It's to make some stops. The time clock is on their side. 3 minutes and 8 seconds left.
Sepe checks out. Melvin Johnson III back in. Oh, almost another turnover. Tremaine Butler going at it. And you can see that the energy has really stepped up for Alabama State. And a whistle. Looks like a foul against Texas San Antonio. 8th team foul against the Roadrunners.
Well, these are mistakes you can't afford. Look at the push off right there. And another one. Franklin's got to keep himself disciplined.
Washington to Moore. This is his area. Got it! 64-55. The lead now only 9 for Texas San Antonio. Moore with 12 points. Ivory White checks back in. Moore heads out. Defensive substitution here.
Well, right here, tough turnaround along the baseline, but you're right. That's his spot. And now, anxiety starts to flow the other way.
Out of bounds, and Alabama State turns him over again.
Hard to believe now. Momentum is now sitting on Alabama State's bench. Again, is it a question of too little, too late? This Alabama State team has really stepped up the intensity.
Middlebrooks has had the courage to take big shots tonight. Moore is back in the game.
Texas San Antonio can't afford to play tentatively on either end of the floor.
Inside, and that time Moore coming up short. And a tie-up, and the possession arrow favors UTSA.
Well, that's a good way to get it going your way again the next time.
Largest lead of the night for Texas San Antonio, 28. A 25-point first half for Melvin Johnson III. Lead pass in the front court. Here's Melvin Johnson III. He'll pull it back.
Good decision, and again.
Now driving. And a foul.
Well, I was going to say that what Texas San Antonio has to do once they gain possession, they've got to have patience and they got to have poise because Alabama State's coming after them. You know that they're going to have to foul. Be strong with the ball, hit the open man, good decisions, and ultimately, you know, you'll wind up with an opportunity on the line or a high percentage shot. You don't have to fall apart. You don't have to throw the ball away.
So Stephen Franklin, 74% free throw shooter at the line. Or will it be Melvin Johnson III? Now a little argument.
And the official may have to take a look and see who belongs on the free throw line. Ooh, looked like a clean play. So Johnson is the guy that belongs on the line.
And he missed it. 64-55.
Gotta be quick.
Hornets inside. Duncan. Middlebrooks has been great with it. Deep. Off the heel. Loose. And a foul as Gibson tracks it down.
And when Texas San Antonio was up 28, did we think that we'd have to see these hustle plays
Not
for
at
them
all.
to survive? But certainly, again, they realize they're in a dogfight now as they've given up that huge lead, and Alabama State with the momentum. Now, again, it's about poise, getting possession, making Alabama State come to you and foul you, just as it happened right there.
Washington called for the foul, and Devin Gibson, a 78% free throw shooter, gets the first.
And regardless of the outcome, you got to tip your hat to Alabama State. Started poorly, got themselves in a deep hole, but they never gave up on themselves coming here in the second half, playing with more intensity, playing with what I see is more pride, and good things happen when you do that.
Butler inside, more. Washington three. Out of bounds, and we'll head the other way. Alabama State just unable to hit or to get timely baskets.
Yeah, I mean, they're reverting back to what appears to be their true form, although we reiterate the last 12 games, they shot the ball very well. 45% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc, and they went 11-1 during those 12 games, rolling into this tournament.
Looks like Larry Wilkins may have been hit in the mouth.
And we talk about physical game. We hadn't seen a lot of it lately. Well, that's one of the things that can happen when you go up and you contest. Wow. I can't watch horror movies, so you know I can't watch that.
He's in pain.
Yeah, it's tough. He just got inadvertent elbow. And absolutely was inadvertent. There's two guys going hard for the rebound. Right there in the middle of your screen, actually to the right. That's why you go to rebound, you always have to have your hands up so that it's protecting against those inadvertent elbows to the face. Shot goes up. You see, before he could get his hands up, he got smacked.
And he walks over to the Texas San Antonio bench. Looks like they received treatment there.
One more time, hands down at his sides instead of up above his shoulders. Again, self-protection if you're a rebounder. Take a look there. So again, his hands were down as a rebounder on the way up, kind of clipped him.
Somebody told me that you had some sharp elbows during your playing days.
I know. I use hips and shoulders, man. I never use elbows.
Hatchet man.
Every once in a while,
yeah, exactly. 1:37 to go, second half, 66-55.
Get him off me. That's kind of the way you employ him. But now guys need to use hips and shoulders. That's what this game is all about, to get position.
Gibson bumped coming up the sideline. And he'll go to the line once again.
11-point lead for Texas San Antonio. All they have to do, as I said, possession, make Alabama State come to them and knock them down from the free throw line. Take a look here. Gibson's trying to give a little protection. Got away with that extended forearm to keep the defender off him.
So Gibson with 9 points now. Very quiet 9 after averaging 17 on the season. He has 3 rebounds and 1 assist. He averages 6 assists a game. 68-55 now. As Jeffrey Middlebrooks brings it up. Washington takes the 3 and hits. And a timeout called by Alabama State. 10-point game, 1:18 to go. Hornets fighting to the end. tournament, the Ohio State Buckeyes on Friday. Lenny, we're going to get in the car tonight after the game and get to Cleveland 4 hours later. We'll be ready for 8 practices tomorrow. Are you ready? Excited?
Yeah, can't you tell? From my voice? I'm ready for the games, though.
And foul in the backcourt, and that will send Melvin Johnson III to the line. Road runners a minute and 16 away from advancing.
This exchange will be pretty interesting. If Johnson misses the free throws, Alabama State comes down, they can knock down a bucket, 2 or 3. They may continue to try to extend this game with fouls. If he makes them and Alabama State misses, I think that might be the end of it.
Don't forget game 2 coming up next. 2 11 seeds, USC with a powerful inside game against the sleek and frenetic VCU squad.
The name of that game is going to be tempo, tempo, tempo. And this is both. Now you got to push, knock down the 3. You can continue to extend the game.
Middlebrooks. Pull up jump shot, Butler. Sepe with the board. Sepe's had a very solid game, especially on defense.
Yeah, and I like the way he's handled the ball. He's played with patience.
Double teamed on the sideline. And a timeout called by Texas San Antonio. Brooks Thompson just trying to get through this one. 53.1 to go. Back after this. Remaining here in Dayton, Ohio. The first 4 continues. One more game following this one. And then the tournament really gets rocking tomorrow. Gibson. And another reaching foul will go against Tremaine Butler.
I think you forgot to mention while we watch those 8 practices, one eye on the practice, the other eye is going to be on the tournament.
There's no doubt about it. Lewis Jackson, what a great job he's done in this alma mater.
Are we going to have a clicker so we can switch?
I wish we could have one. That's for sure. First free throw goes down for Franklin. Now, injury update on Larry Wilkins. He split his bottom lip, so he will not return for the final 48.6.
It's a medal of valor. You get hit in the chops like that, you know you're battling on the boards.
Crowd starting to really fill in here in Dayton. The anticipation of seeing Southern Cal and VCU. Middlebrooks. Iron White. In and out. Washington rebound and foul.
You know, obviously in retrospect, as Alabama State is heading to defeat, you see the activity, you see the intensity on the boards, on defense, and you kind of wonder where that was in the first half.
Maybe some early game jitters?
Yeah, I think so. And also, not having seen these guys close up and Melvin Johnson III starts to knock down some shots, the coach said, you know, you guys are playing a little bit frightened, a little bit intimidated. Get back to playing your game. And ultimately in the second half they did. But as we mentioned, too little, too late. And just not enough to be able to climb that mountaintop or climb out of that hole that Texas San Antonio put them in.
Full court pressure now being applied by Alabama State. They want a foul. Going for the steal. Gibson up the sideline. Wow, spins it himself.
Yeah, that was a nice hand.
And a steal. Butler to the basket. With 20.9 to go. 9-point game. And a timeout called by the Hornets.
Well, no give in Alabama State.
Secret ear.
Made with 100% pure beef. Now at Sonic.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the Capital One Cup impact performance. No secret here.
Yeah, Melvin Johnson III began this game on fire. 25 first half points. Didn't quite measure up to those numbers in the second half, but he didn't need to, because the game was won in the first half by Texas San Antonio, and Johnson III right in the middle.
70-61. Melvin Johnson III with career high 29. He's missed 4 free throws in the second half. And Johnson III is a great free throw shooter, 88% on the season. If they manage to hold on in this game, we'll have a whole different animal to deal with on Friday in the likes of a Mr. David Lighty. And I'm sure David, who considers himself one of the greatest defenders in college basketball, and who was considered one of the best, is watching this game.
He'll accept the challenge
with plans to lock somebody down. You seen Aaron Craft this year?
Yeah, I have. I'm impressed. And that's why I say consummate role players. You got the dominance inside. And it's going to be interesting. Again, at least in the beginning, if they shoot as well as they do here at Texas San Antonio, will present some initial problems for the Ohio State.
So congratulations to Brooks Thompson and the Road Runners from Texas San Antonio, who
two guys with tremendous upside in their athleticism. Cowboys in the flex offense right there, scoots along the baseline there with a little flex cut, little block-to-block screen, and steps up and knocks it down.
Largest lead of the game for Oklahoma State, 6 points. This is Melvin Johnson III. You want to talk about some instant offense off the bench for the Roadrunners. He can light it up. Sepe harassed by Roger Dow. Shot clock is down to 10 for UTSA. Gibson. Crowd thought there was a travel. Sepe with his second tray of the ball game. He's a guy that doesn't shoot many of those.
Well, he hit that initial one that was set up by Gibson. And many times you see it from players that are capable. They knock one down and it gives them confidence. And Pay right there stepped up like a guy that's used to knocking down trays.
Roadrunners in the early going, staying in it by shooting well. 3 of 3 from three-point range. Roger Dow with a tough look and somehow spun it home.
Well, I'd like to see that again. I'm not sure how that went down, but it was soft enough.
There's Melvin Johnson III. The Cowboys don't recognize him, and you better be aware when he comes in.
He is a fearless offensive player. Instant offense. Brooks Thompson brings him off the bench because he wants him to be loose. He wants him to come in and play relaxed, and he certainly has the green light.
Has taken more shots than anybody on the Roadrunners roster. Olakemi gets hemmed in on the baseline. Williams bails him out. Raquel Brown squeezes between a double team. Well, he's so athletic. Has a little bit of James Anderson's game, in all honesty. As we hit another media timeout. Cowboys by 2 at the under 12 timeout. And Roger Dow in the spin cycle here. You're watching OSU basketball on the Cowboys Sports Network.
Featuring SpongeBob SquarePants for 40% less cavities.
Cowboy basketball is brought to you by OERB and Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners, advancing our state, empowering our nation. UTSA staying in this one, Brennan, on the strength of three-point shooting. They're 4 of 4 from three-point range so far tonight, and this is a club that shoots about 34% from three-point range on the year.
34%. Respectable, but you've got now to, if you're the defense of Oklahoma State, you've got to make sure that you're the shooters. Number one, you'd like to be able to deny completely. But if they do catch Chad, you have to have them shoved out on the floor and certainly be there exactly when they catch.
Markel Brown, the Cowboy freshman, to the free throw line. 5 of 11 at the line this season. You see 36%. Coming off a season-high 25 minutes at Gonzaga, had 7 points and 6 rebounds. Kids 8th grade and under become a Pistol Pete partner today. For only a $25 membership per child, you get free admission to wrestling, cowgirl basketball, baseball, and softball. For more information, call 405-744-3067 or go to okstate.com/kidsclub.
And I asked Coach Ford if there came anything positive from the Gonzaga game, because he certainly wasn't pleased really with anything. He said that there was one thing, Chad, it was that Markel Brown, although he didn't play great, it was his competitiveness, how hard he played and tried to go out and make plays. He was pleased with his effort.
First 3-point miss for the Roadrunners. There's Pilgrim posting on Hill, and he stuffs it home again. Cowboys just physically much bigger and stronger than the Roadrunners inside.
A good ball reversal right there, and just the emphasis to look in there. It's a good post up and use of the body by Matt Pilgrim.
Johnson the third misses. Markel Brown transitions for the Cowboys. Page's first look rejected by Hill. Melvin Johnson the third spins into a double team and picks up a Cowboy foul against Roger Dowell.
Here's what the post up opportunity provided for Matt Pilgrim right there. He had the weak side cleared out. Good play. It was late coming over. And Matt, good feel in there to gather himself, make sure he got the flush.
Devin Gibson rarely comes out of the game for the Roadrunners. 34 minutes per contest. Melvin Johnson the third with Dowell trailing, able to keep him from launching a 2. 18 to shoot as Gibson attacks. There's Hill along the baseline. Was knocked out of bounds, and the Roadrunners will have 16 seconds on the shot clock.
And Gibson just continues each and every night to get in deep, cause help, and get some decent looks for his teammates. With their youth, sometimes they have trouble finishing.
Johnson the third misfires, but right back to Gibson and a reset for the Roadrunners.
And UTSA, again, their best chance tonight be show patience in the half-court set. Try to find a hole late in the defense of Oklahoma State in terms of the 35-second shot clock.
Pilgrim picks Hill's pocket. Matt works one-on-one against him. Tried to feed Dowell, and there's Gibson getting a hand in to check it out of bounds.
And a pretty good job of Hill right there to keep the opportunity away from Pilgrim. Good hustle back by Gibson to catch up with Roger Dowell, and Cowboys potentially missed point off turnover right there.
Ryan Moon took the hit down there, Brendan. Did you see that? I hope he's okay. Here's Dowell, just scoots right around Gibson, which is a surprise for the lay-in.
Now, Gibson sometimes will gamble. That's why he has a lot of steals, and if you pick your spots, as Roger did right there, you might get a good result. Smart play.
Largest Oklahoma State lead, 8 points with 9:20 left in the opening half. Wilkins trying to bang his way in, and that's out of bounds off the Cowboys. Nick Sidorkis is back in. Travis Ford told us today about the disappointment at Gonzaga. Perhaps the biggest thing is that the Cowboys don't let that game become an identity for them. Shake it off and get back to the way you were playing before that game.
Well, he certainly doesn't think they're as bad as they play. And with all due respect to Gonzaga, Coach Ford didn't feel like there was that big a discrepancy, if any, to be honest with you. He was very candid with this, but what he was curious is how this team would bounce back from the first time this season, really getting it handed to him.
Ola Kimmy with the lay-in off the Matt Pilgrim feed.
And that was pretty play because you get ball movement, you got the floor spread, so you got the defense and their spacing out on the perimeter. It's nice execution.
Cowboys 5 assists on 11 made baskets tonight. Shot clock at 15 for Say Payne and the Roadrunners. Look at the points in the paint. Cowboys piling up a huge advantage on the interior. Gibson with 5 to shoot. Pilgrim able to check him away. That was blocked. Sidorkis and Pilgrim with good defense. Cowboys 3-on-1. Page funnels it to Pilgrim for the hammer.
We talked about in the open, Cowboys getting points in transition, and how you do that is defense transitioning into offense. They get the steal, great spacing. Keaton Page, terrific timing on giving up the rock to Matt Pilgrim.
There's Gibson working inside. Tyler Wood hit his first shot. Can't find the range this time. The Cowboys are looking to transition. Keaton Page pushing to Olakemi, and he traveled with it. Melvin Johnson III was right there in his face as we reach another immediate timeout. Oklahoma State on top of UTSA.
Where Devin Gibson is. We talked about how
Center, located just minutes off of I-35 in Sulphur, Oklahoma. Well, it's a 10-2 run put on by the Cowboys, and they're getting out in transition tonight.
Well, Oklahoma State at times is struggling half-court set, and one of the ways that you can cure that and get the lid off the basket, and they'll need to do that as the season progresses, little defense transitioning to offense. They trap the ball screen, wanting obviously to get out of Devin Gibson's hands, but that time get a gift, get the turnover, good spacing as we talked about, and another way to manufacture points, which as the season progresses, obviously you get into Big 12 play, you face tougher defenses, a lot of defensive-minded coaches, I should say, in the Big 12 Conference. So that will become something I think that is necessary for the Cowboys in terms of their success and consistency within the league itself.
Larry Wilkins there in the middle, back out to Pay. Matt Pilgrim has 8 early points for Oklahoma State. He leads all scorers. Shot clock winding down to 10 once again. And here's Gibson out to get it. Lost the handle. Pay with 3 to shoot. Inside Wilkins. And the Roadrunners have 1 second to try to get it away.
The Roadrunners being patient at half-court set. But you got to give the Cowboys credit. They've been disciplined, have had very few breakdowns here in the last few minutes.
Didn't get it off. Shot clock violation. When it says 1 second, that can be misleading. You don't know if it's 0.2 or if it's 0.9 seconds. And that was not a full 1 second and a shot clock violation.
Well, you saw, though, how dangerous
Melvin Johnson
Melvin Johnson can be. I mean, he's like a microwave.
Moses posting against Wilkins. Roadrunners come away with it. Gibson with a full head of steam. Keaton Page and Nick Sidorkis tear it away from him.
Well, Marshall has to be careful. Every basketball player for Oklahoma State has to understand where Devin Gibson is. We talked about how good a player he is. He's a Big 12 caliber type guard. What we mean by that is he could play in this league. And he'd play a lot of minutes for just about every team. One of the top players in the country in terms of steals, and so you have to be aware of where he is.
Nick Sidorkis picks up a foul away from the basketball. And that's his first, the 5th against Oklahoma State. Cowboys with a 10-point lead, still in the midst of a 10-2 run. Gibson with a great pass to Wilkins, but he can't finish it. Moses ripped it away, then threw it away to Pay. Here's Johnson. Well, you better get a hand up as soon as he crosses half court.
Well, just as important as knowing where Gibson is when you have the basketball on the offensive end. Defensively, as soon as that ball changes possessions from offense to D, Oklahoma State has to find Johnson. He can flat out fill it up, and he's feeling the hot hand, as you can already tell. And that's exactly the time you have to press forward defensively.
Turnover number 6 against the Cowboys. Marshall Moses called for palming the ball.
And what's happening is they're getting the touches inside, but they're throwing it to the wing and getting it in off the first pass. What you want to do against a team like UTSA, you've got to get the ball moving side to side, and after you reversed it a time or two, then enter it to Marshall, because then you've made the defense shift, and the built-in help is now taken away.
Gibson falls away from Markel Brown and drills another. And the lead has been shaved down to 5 points. Five and a half to play in the first half. There's Keaton Page on the attack. Turned away by Pay. And the Cowboys reset it. Shot clock plays down to 15. Darrell Williams right around Hill as he wiggles one up to the rim and in.
A nice job right there. Again, they addressed the 4s and 5s. Hill, not very good laterally at this point in his career. They take advantage.
Melvin Johnson, the third again. 3 for 3 from three-point range, and that's not counting the one that was nullified on the shot clock violation.
Better find him. Not only you better be there when he catches, you can't let him catch to begin with.
Markel Brown tried to answer but could not. Scoreboard has stopped working here, or there's a problem with it at this point. It's in the building. It says 28-26, but our score is 30-26 as we have a timeout on the floor. Some of the fans here inside Gallagher-Iba Arena getting restless about the score. Can't handle Darrell Williams.
And I like what Oklahoma State did, because you don't get anything in your primary break. A primary break would be you have a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 type opportunity. If you don't get anything there, you go to secondary break. And they immediately throw it to the corner, which flattens out the defense defensively, and that's a great place to enter the ball into the post. And as you said, particularly with Hill, it puts a lot of pressure on teams defensively. Typically, you're going to be able to catch it low near the block. So I like that from the Cowboys. They didn't get discouraged, didn't get anything in the primary break, veer off to the secondary break, and they get something positive.
Darrell Williams cashes in on the front end of the 1-and-1. Cowboys lead is 5. 2 double-doubles this season for Darrell Williams. 4th in the Big 12 in rebounding at just over 8 per game. Got them both. He's adjusted to coming off the bench. Started the first 7, and this is the 6th game in which he's come off the bench. UTSA has yet to go to the foul line. Everything from the perimeter. Here's Melvin Johnson, the third. Williams couldn't tip it in. And here's Matt Pilgrim with a long down court pass to Markel Brown. Pilgrim will take that shot. Redger Dowell is hobbling into the front court just now. Well, he's been battling a pinky injury, has Dowell. It looks like he's got a bum ankle or something, and they'll stop play.